Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I want to do a disassembly and maintenance video for you on this little guy. This right here is the Chavez American-made knives JB Stout Megalodon. Quite the mouthful there, but interesting little knife, and let's go on ahead and take it apart. Thank you first off to my buddy Mike who sent it along, allowing me to take it down. He just won this guy in a raffle not too long ago and sent it along my way. I'm noticing that the previous owner rode this guy hard and put it to bed wet. There's a little bit of blade play going on here, back and forth, side to side. No vertical play, that's good. And it's running, it looks like, on bearings, but they're very, very dirty. So we're going to try and clean that out and just get this knife back into top shape for my buddy here. So, let's go ahead and get started. We're looking at a T8 pivot, I believe. So we'll try that first here. Yep, T8. Oh, nice. Good threading, very easy to remove. And then on the back here, I believe we're looking at T10s. It's a little strange that the pivot is T8, but these guys are T10s. Would have liked to have seen T10 all over, but hey, whatever, no big deal. So go ahead and pop that out, and I'm just going to keep things arranged in the rough order they came off the knife, just in case. Whoa there, and the knife is disassembling itself in my hand. Well, that was straightforward. Yeah, this is dirty. Yeah, it's dry. Oh, this needs love. Alrighty, well, I'm glad I'm here to help. Some days I feel like, you know, the Sarah McLachlan music should be playing in the background like they show with the puppies at the shelter. You know, the Nick Chavez Home for Underloved Knives. It's a bad charity idea. If anyone's ever looking to start a bad charity, just look me up. Looking at the construction here. Sorry, I'm just ranting. Looking at the construction here, this guy is pretty straightforward. In that it's just a slab of freaking titanium on this side, and then on this side, there's nothing too complex here. There's nothing too different or interesting. This is a slab-sided titanium frame lock. It's not a flipper, though. So it's breaking with the trends, I suppose. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just using some rubbing alcohol here on a little cloth patch sort of affair. Using a Q-tip to get the corners of this bearing raised, because, oh my God, is this knife grody. I don't think the previous owner had ever taken this apart, or if they did, they sure didn't do a good job of it. So, I'm glad that Mike started its journey off right here. Let's see, yeah, pop the pivot through there. Beautiful. Oh, what the heck do they have on this knife? This looks to be some kind of grease residue. Maybe somebody used, like, Chris Reeve grease on this. Which is, well, it's not a terrible substance, but it's the last thing you should put on a freaking flipper. It's not a flipper, I'm sorry, on a knife with bearings. Unless you want the action to be stupidly slow. I just don't get it. And then just kind of cleaning off here. There we go. Yeah, that was just build up of gunk. Clean the lock face. Whoa there. Lock face is just terribly grody. Wow. This entire knife. Oh, whoever took care of this last. Just a sad day. But you're here now. It's gonna be okay, little Megalodon. It's gonna be okay. Okay, now we gotta clean those bearings. And oh my God, do we have to clean those bearings. Holy crap. So what I'm gonna do here is just, I've already got a puddle of booze here, and I'll just make a bigger one. And get this little piece of cloth nice and wet, and then I'm just going to start rolling the bearings on top of this cloth. And you're seeing already how some of the gunk is coming off the bearings and onto the cloth, and that's what I'm after here. That's what I'm doing. And I'm making sure to run both with the tip of my finger in there, as well as using the pad of my finger, because that rolls the individual balls around. Pardon me. So, I dare say that bearing is fine. Oh, look at that. Why do you do this to this poor knife? Oh, look at the crap that's coming off of that bearing. That ain't right, people. That ain't right. Won't somebody please think of the bearings? I am half a mind to start the charity right now tonight. All right. See, that's much better. Oh, my God. There's still some gunk up inside this bearing race. So what I'm actually going to do here, flip this patch over a little bit, and I'm going to just pour a little bit of this booze. Whoa there, as I spill it everywhere. But I'm just going to pour a little bit of the booze directly into the back of the bearing here, and then continue running this guy around just because I may never get everything out of there exactly, but at the same time, I'd love to believe that I can get a majority of it, at least get the amount of gunk that touches the bearing itself out of the way there. And then since these are so bad, I'm going to use a third patch. Considering these guys run me approximately, well, $14 for 1,000 of them, I think I'll go ahead and take the time. And just, again, running. Beautiful. All right, the one other thing I'm realizing that I have missed is I have not cleaned the blade at all, so it's a good thing that I've got a fresh patch. I'm going to go ahead and booze that up. And just cleaning every aspect of this knife. See here, the lock face. There's a little bit of an indent here where the stop pin goes. Make sure you get a little something into that to clean it out. You can even use the side of your Q-tip here to get up inside that little contour and do the same thing here. Okay, I'm actually going to go to a new Q-tip. Wow. Not super common to find a knife this grody, but that's okay. At some level, I should be happy. It means this knife has lived a very good life of being used and hard use, high speed, low drag. Perhaps the person owning this knife previously was an operator who operated operationally, tactically in the field. I don't know this. In fact, I may never know this, that could be top secret classified at the highest levels. But nonetheless, you know, at some level it's nice to see a knife that's really dirty and it's been used. But I do like to see a little more care taken. A knife that's running on bearings completely dry with, you know, evidence of old grease and gunk in there. Ugh. Take care of your tools and they will take care of you. Okay, so there's my charity spiel right there. Let's make sure one last time that the lock face is good to go here. No sign of lock stick whatsoever on this guy, so I'm not going to bother with the Sharpie approach. Maybe I will live to regret that, but the tang of the blade is also exposed enough that it's not a big deal. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the reassembling process here. Are these really? Okay, so this is kind of interesting. The pivot on this guy, not that pivot, the stop pin, here we go, is actually not a straight piece of bar stock. There's a little bit of rounding on the edges of both sides here, one of which is rounded a little more than the other. It seems... Yeah, and even the holes on either side seem slightly asymmetrical. This one seems a little bit different, which is very, very strange. I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm going to go ahead and reassemble it in the way it seems to want to be reassembled. So there we go. Whoa. Just grab that knife by the blade. There's a reason that generally if I'm grabbing a knife for disassembly, I sharpen after I disassemble. But that was a stupid move there, Nick. That was not brilliantly done. But that's life. Okay. No, it shouldn't be life. You should do better than that. But that little blade grab will just be our little secret. So I'm going to start off by putting a little bit of lubrication onto the pivot itself. This will not only help the pivot to go through the little hole to the area it needs to go, but it will help to distribute that onto the pivot itself because the pivot needs to be greased in order for the blade to spin properly. So that's nice. The other advantage is that this puts a little bit of grease behind the pivot, well, oil in this case, nano oil, I am using the 10 weight here. Behind the pivot, which helps to reduce any rusting issues that you may end up with. So pivot's on there, pivot's creased, beautiful. Next step is going to be to put a little bit of the nano oil or any other kind of oil into the area surrounding the pivot, and then to drop a bearing on into there. And I'm going to use a little tool here, which I just cannot for the life of me find at the moment. There it is. Hey, come here, you little bugger. There we go. Use this little oiler guy to kind of drag the bearing around and just help to distribute that nano oil underneath there. I'm running this guy a little bit wet, but that's okay. Not a huge deal. So, there we go. That's on there. Next thing I'm going to do is just use the spout here to distribute a little bit of oil onto the pivot itself. On the, the inside of the knife, that is. Oh, and actually, one step I've forgotten. I'm going to go ahead and grease the detent ball hole and detent ball path a little bit. You can see the detent ball is riding right along the edge here for a good part of this this knife's little track. It's not bad, just maybe a little unusual. Okay, I believe the less rounded side goes onto this side. I could be wrong, and it may not even matter, but it's something to keep in mind. Okay, so there's that. Now I can go ahead, and that was a little extra oil that dripped onto there. I'm going to go ahead and distribute a little bit more of it into this little crease right here, which will get it onto the bearing, which will in turn, that is, get it onto the blade. Yeah, drop that in there. Beautiful. There's a fair amount of play with that bearing around the blade there. That's okay, though. This is the dirtier of the two bearings, so I'll give it a little bit more love there. All right, am I missing any pieces? No, there's no backspace. Looks like it's just time to put the knife together. Okay, so I'm putting this guy, just laying the scale back onto it here. There we go. The pivot is wanting to push out here. Is this D-shaped somehow? What's my problem here? There we go. So my issue was just, oh, you little bugger. My issue was just that my pivot was not wanting to go into the proper positioning with the lock bar fully engaged. I needed to push it a little bit aside, and it's really common in a lock bar. In a frame lock sort of knife. So no big deal there. Now let's put the pivot back on here. Oh, what the heck. I've got the screw for the back spaces on there already. So the driver, that is. So I'll put those on first. We'll touch a Loctite here. I'm not going to fully tighten these guys down yet, just because, well, you never quite know until the pivot's in whether you're going to need to loosen those back up again. Pardon me, a little sniffly this evening. Okay, so now we put the pivot back in there. Use a little Loctite on this guy here. This is the blue Loctite. This is 242 blue, never the red Loctite. If you use the red Loctite, you're going to have a bad time. Okay, so I'm going to lock the pivot fully down here, just to start with. That's locked down. Centering is good. So that's good. Action. There's no blade play, that's good. But the action's a little tight, so I may be running this guy a little looser. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down these backspacer screws, though, just to make sure. Again, not aiming for super, super tight. No need for that, but just getting them in range here. Backing that off just a little tad. This is a knife that's on bearings that doesn't really feel like it's on bearings. Which is interesting. Maybe there. Back that off slightly. Yeah, still no lock or blade play. I hate the opening mechanism on this knife so damn much. There we go. It's meant for a flick that my ends are not built for. So this is a two-hand opener knife. Because your thumb just ain't doing this either. I just don't get it. Anyways, moving it along. No blade play. Action's pretty good. Come on, you little bugger. Don't attribute the my inability to flick this to a bad action. There you go. Attribute it to a bad Nick Chavez. Not very good at the whole middle finger flick thing. But okay. Beautiful. Centering is A-okay. No rattles. Clip's fine. It's running a lot better. No blade play. Vertical or horizontal. We're good to go. All right, there you go. So that's how you disassemble and maintain your, let's see if I can, you little bugger. Chavez American-made JB Stout pocket knife, disassembled, maintained. There you go. Hope this is interesting to you and have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.